Well, kia ora and welcome into the Harness Half Hour. This week, we are thrilled to announce that the show is now proudly brought to you by Airpark Canterbury and HRNZ Marketing. Airpark Canterbury are proudly Canterbury owned and operated and are huge supporters of the harness racing industry. We'll speak soon to Graeme Harris of Airpark Canterbury, whom many will know as the owner of the classy Country Cup winner Airpark Flyer. Also on the show today, we will speak to junior driver Sarah O'Reilly, who won the most important race of her career on Sunday, her late grandfather's memorial race at Methven. Adam Hamilton will join us from Australia to discuss the IRT Harness Jewels from an Australian angle. And with only 2 months until the IRT Harness Jewels, Keryn McElroy of Addington Raceway is on the show to discuss Jewels packages and makes an exciting announcement about the general admission fee. And as usual, Richard Wilson is on with us from the Bookmakers Desk. But first, here are the headlines. The Group 2 Allied Security Superstars was won by Henry Hubert for John and Robert Dunn. The 4-year-old son of Bettor's Delight has now won 7 of just 25 starts, 5 of which have come this season. He defeated the Fixer and Hale Christian in a slick 2:21.3 over the mobile 1980-metre feature. Anna Donnelly continued her stable's golden run when Patanjali was successful at Manawatu in the Palmerston North Festival Gold Cup on Friday night. Driven by Andre Patama, the 5-year-old mare picked up her 3rd win for the season when winning the event. And the Mount Hutt Trotting Club Country Cup saw a return to winning form for Forgotten Highway on Sunday. Trained by Mitchell Kerr and driven by Nathan Williamson, Forgotten Highway made light work of his 20-metre handicap to beat home My Wee Man and Johnny White. Well, it's a pleasure to announce here on the Harness Half Hour today that we are now sponsored by Airpark Canterbury. And many people in Canterbury will be aware of Airpark, and joining me is Graeme Harris of Airpark Canterbury. Firstly, thank you so much for coming on board, Graeme, but can you tell us a bit about what Airpark Canterbury is?
Yeah, thank you, Jess, and thanks for the opportunity to you and your team. Airpark Canterbury was started a little over 6 years ago by myself. It's the only privately owned 24/7 off-site airport car park in Christchurch. There's only us in the airport, so we've had a great deal of support being privately owned. We're only 4 minutes from the airport and we run 24/7, so we don't close. We run 4 Mercedes shuttles to and from the airport on demand. We don't wait until the shuttle's full. If you're there and you're the only one and you need to go, we go. We've got 620 car parks there, and we've never turned anyone away. So we're there. We were set up for Canterbury by Canterbury people.
Oh, most certainly. And for those that are outside of Canterbury and Christchurch, Graeme, you've got the option too, if they're needing a corporate car or a way to get into the city, or a limousine even, you've got that available.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the Airpark limousines as a bit of a sideline from Airpark Canterbury that's become very popular. We've done quite a lot of work in recent days for the Kuwait Embassy just last weekend and the Qatar Embassy, and was received very well. They have quite high standards. We do a lot of wedding work, and we do a lot on Cup Day for people wanting to go to the races. We have quite a broad range of cars, from long wheelbase chauffeur cars right through to 10-seater stretch Chrysler limousines.
Oh, very special. So if you are wanting to have a special occasion in Canterbury, make sure you keep them in mind. And of course, the sponsorship is great of this podcast, but it's not the first time that you've given back to the racing industry, Graeme.
No, it's not. We're right into supporting, especially grassroots racing. Anything I say to my friends and colleagues, anything to do with horses, I'm into it. From the stand-up from Canterbury's rehoming Addington, we've sponsored quite a lot down in Oamaru, Timaru, and Rangiora, and the like.
Yes, and not only race sponsorship, but you've been thinking outside the square, and more recently you offered up a phantom ownership opportunity at Rangiora with Airpark Flyer, which went down so well with the people that won it.
Yeah, it did, Jess, and as you know, you were there, and the people were just lovely. It gave them an opportunity. It added a bit of spark, extra spark to the day. It was an absolutely fantastic day and really well organised, and credit to the team there. And the people that won it, they're actually customers of ours, believe it or not, and they're from the Rangiora area, which was even better.
Yeah, I think it's the first time they'd been to the races in 10 years, so a great experience for them. And in your own ownership journey, we mentioned Airpark Flyer, and what a remarkable season this horse has had, Graeme. I think before this season he only had one win, and he's picked up 6 alone this year.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic journey, and credit to Peter, McElroy, who was training the horse and got his fitness to the point where it was, and then Trent Yeasberg being a relatively young trainer to the industry as far as training goes, and really isolated the needs of the horse, really looked at what he needed, and went with it. And I basically gave Trent carte blanche to do what he needed to do, and he's taken Airpark Flyer to the next level and blown us away. The horse has a massive heart. I always believed in him. Yes, he did have a lot of faults, but hey, none of us are perfect,
Oh, exactly, and beautifully put. And he literally took you right around the South Island and picked up 3 country cups.
Yeah, he did indeed, and a special moment. We went down to Riverton, and a lot of people say, well, hey, they don't want the competition coming down from Canterbury, but we went to Southland. The people down there, I couldn't speak more highly of them. Absolutely superb, such big hearts. They opened up their arms to us, and we won the cup. I stood there drinking bourbon and eating crayfish, and hopped on the plane with the cup, which the Air New Zealand flight attendants swiftly filled up with free cookie time biscuits. So it was a great time had by all. We definitely left on a full stomach, put it that way.
Oh, fantastic. It was great to hear that you were well looked after, and I understand Airpark Flyer is now going out for a bit of a break to come back bigger and better next season. But have you got any other horses that you have interest in, or are you breeding any yourself, Graeme?
Yeah, I've got a few on the go. I was lucky enough to buy Gold Return and Foal off Paul Yeasberg, Trent's father, who I've had quite a long relationship with, and she's given me 3 beautiful foals of Sir Lincoln, recently a Gold Ace, and also she gave me a He's Watching. So they're coming through the ranks. I bought one at the Yearlings year before last, which is a lovely horse which we've just about to take to trials in the next probably 3 weeks. And I've got my eye on the upcoming sales. Actually, I'm not going to tell you which one it is, but there's a weanling up there that I'd love to get my hands on. And I'm also dealt with Graeme from Alabar. He's got a horse I've leased, a lovely broodmare, Ava Rose, who I've put in foal to always be Mickey. So we're by no means big. We've got big hearts. We haven't got massive wallets, but we're the underdogs, and we just love being part of the industry. I'm addicted to it, absolutely. I'm sure if I went to the doctor, he'd say I have a problem with harness racing. We've had a lot of help, and I'd like to mention John Dunn's name in particular. When we started with Airpark Flyer, we didn't have 2 cents to rub together, and Airpark Flyer was too big for the carts that we had. So John consistently lent us a very, very good cart, and we started winning cups until we won enough to be able to buy our own from down in Southland. So thanks to him for what he's done helping us when we really needed some help as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great industry in terms of people pitching in where it's needed, and you're doing the same. As you mentioned, Stand Up for Standardbreds, you gave back hugely with that, and now sponsoring the smaller and large clubs, of course, with the likes of the big screen at Addington, and now Airpark Canterbury sponsoring the Harness Half Hour. So we're thrilled to have you on board, true blue, genuine harness racing person. So thank you so much for your time, Graeme, and your support.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity, Jess. You do a wonderful job, you and your team.
Time now for social media news headlines and what's happening around the world. Starting off with New Zealand, Henry Hubert features on our HRNZ Facebook page, along with a profile on Maddie Williamson, who will represent New Zealand at the upcoming World Driving Champs in Sweden in May. Also, make sure you check out the amazing photo competition we held recently for Life After Racing from the cavalcade held down in Otago, thanks to Dunstan Horse Feeds as well. From Australia, as mentioned, we'll talk very soon to Adam Hamilton in regards to Harness Jewels news from Australia. Be sure to follow him on Twitter if you don't already. And also, if you want to keep up to date with the latest news in Australia, check out the Harness Racing Victoria Facebook page for the very latest news from that state. And from the US and Canada, as we mentioned last week, the Levy and Matchmaker series are well underway. Kiwi bred mares Sha Tin and Better Joy both feature on the Harness Racing Fan Zone Facebook page after winning in the most recent round of Matchmaker heats at Yonkers. Be sure to like Harness Racing Fan Zone on Facebook for the very latest news from America. Well, one of the most special moments over the weekend was the win by Sarah O'Reilly in the PG O'Reilly Memorial Trot at Methven. Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. And I know it's a silly question, but just how much did it mean to you winning that race?
It was really special because I never met my granddad and all my family was there, and it was really great for them to be in the birdcage with me in the photo.
I can only imagine the amount of emotions, Sarah, that were going through everyone at that time.
Yeah, everybody was really excited for me, and I was pretty excited too because that horse has been going really well, and we've won 3 in a row, so it was really cool.
The horse, of course, Ideal Invasion for Joe Clementson. And can you tell us a bit about how you became associated with that horse, Sarah?
One time at the trials at Methven, my dad couldn't drive it, so Dad suggested to Joe that I should just drive it at the trials or whatever. So I did, and then it went to the West Coast and my dad wasn't going there, so then Joe put me on and we haven't looked back.
Well, it's fair to say you haven't. As you say, 3 wins in a row. And watching that race, Sarah, when you hit the front about halfway down the home straight, were you just praying that you could hang on long enough to take out that special race?
Yeah, he was getting a little bit tired and Leah came up really fast and I just quite wasn't sure if I held on, but I did.
Yeah, exactly. And as you say, some remarkable scenes in the birdcage after that PG O'Reilly Memorial Trot. I'd imagine, given that your family involvement in harness racing, Sarah, that was this always going to be a career path for you?
Yeah, it was. I didn't really have any other options. Like, that's all I wanted to do, so yeah.
And kids' carts, I know you were involved in kids' carts for a long time. What kind of a foundation and what kind of experiences did you get through kids' carts?
It really taught me how to drive and all the great opportunities like the New Zealand Cup and the Driver Series in Auckland. They were all great opportunities for me to learn and like meet new people, and it was really great.
Yeah, and of course this season, you're having a great time. Second season as a junior driver. In your first season you were lucky enough to pick up 5 wins, which is great, but already 14 on the board this year, and I think you're about 5th in the juniors premiership. How does that make you feel, Sarah?
It's really cool. I didn't expect the season to go so good, so I'm really lucky, and the horses I'm getting to drive are really nice horses, so it really helps. And yeah, I'd like to thank everybody that has let me drive their horses.
Oh, fantastic, and great to see you getting that support. And are you open to people giving you a call maybe if they're wanting to try a different driver for their horse?
Yeah, I'm open to anybody.
You'll drive anything?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, and just lastly, Sarah, as we say, you've had a great season this year, but do you have any goals for your career or anything season by season that you'd like to achieve?
I season by season. I just wanted to get like the season before, like top that, so do that every season and just keep winning races. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a great goal to have, and the way you're going, I'm sure you're going to go a long way in the sport of harness racing. Sarah, congratulations, not only to you but to your family as well, for being able to enjoy that wonderful memorial race at Methven over the weekend.
Thank you very much for having me.
Airpark Canterbury is not owned by the Christchurch Airport. They're locally owned, and they have the cheapest 24/7 airport parking in Christchurch. Book your car into Airpark Canterbury and their luxury Mercedes shuttles will drop you right at the terminal. Visit airparkcanterbury.co.nz or book now on 0800 Airpark.
There's always a park for me at Airpark Canterbury.
Well, of course, the IRT Harness Jewels only 2 months away now. The excitement is building, and so too the interest from across the ditch. And of course, our ambassador for Harness Jewels in Australia is Adam Hamilton. And Adam, thank you so much for your time. I know that there's so much hype around it this year. And what's the latest news on the Jewels with Lochinvar Art after that massive win at Bathurst on Friday?
Yeah, Jess, great to be on with you chatting about this and chatting about the enormous momentum that is the Aussie interest in the Jewels this year. It's remarkable to think how strongly this interest has grown since the door was open for the Aussie invites, somewhat controversially a few years ago. I understand, change is confronting for a lot of people, and I know that, there was some natural reluctance and hesitation from participants in New Zealand to allow Aussie competition, but time tends to give clarity. The Aussies have become such a key part of not only the contest on the Jewels Day itself, but most importantly, the significance of the event, the PR around it, the media coverage that it gains, and just the general excitement levels, let alone the spread of the brand, which has now spread very deep and wide across Australia, not just New Zealand. So that's the background to it. And I think Lochinvar Art is a horse now, whether he gets there or not, and we'll delve into the likelihood or otherwise in just a moment. But, Lochinvar Art's co-trained by Laura Crossland and her partner David Moran, and they're really valuable contributors in the sport, but they're not really big names. And it's probably been the biggest stables that have been probably targeted and have been a little bit more proactive in trying to gain spots in the Jewels in recent times. So I think the Lochinvar Art story is one of how far the awareness has gone. The fact that the Jewels is on the radar of pretty much any trainer of any profile now across Australia if they think they've got a horse that could be the right sort of horse to go. So I think you could present an argument to say Lochinvar Art is the best 3-year-old in Australia. Arguably, his performances have been pretty much as good as any 3-year-old in Australasia right across the season. He's had a wretched run with barrier draws, and he's finally got the chance to overcome one of those tricky draws to win the Gold Chalice at Bathurst last Friday night. He smashed the clock. He thrashed a pretty good field in doing so, and he stamped himself as being that little bit special. So before the race, David Moran, or more significantly Laura Crossland, had several conversations with Harness Racing's New Zealand's Darren Williams, who, with his other hat on, is also the Jewels Aussie negotiator or recruiter, if you like. And Darren was relatively upbeat, Jess, about Lochinvar Art coming across. I don't know whether it was the ease of the win or, just sort of time settling down in their minds, but they've definitely gone cold to some extent on the trip. The very, very latest came from them on Saturday night at Melton, and that was that, maybe there's a 30 to 40% chance, which is a lot better than it was straight after the race of Lochinvar Art coming across. So he has been, well, not formally, but Darren has made it very clear to Laura that the invite is Lochinvar Art if he wants it. He hasn't been invited as such because obviously they don't like to invite horses that say no and then that spot's gone and there's no real backup. So basically, there's no super urgency for them to make a decision, but out of respect for other 3-year-old pacers that may want to go across for this division, I'm sure in the next couple of weeks, Laura and Darren Williams will come to a discussion point about whether or not Lochinvar will accept the invite and go across. At this stage, my gut feel is most unlikely, which is disappointing, but I respect the fact they've also got the New South Wales Breeders' Challenge on at the same time, and then at the end of the season they've got the Breeders' Crown as well. And we are now talking about the horse that I think is the best 3-year-old in Australia.
Well, it would be fantastic to have him here, but to have them even contemplating that invitation is exciting in itself. And Adam, you mentioned that a lot of big-name stables are targeted. And how exciting would it be to have Emma Stewart here this year? We hear that she's keen to come across potentially with Alpha Male and maybe a couple of her 2-year-olds as well.
Yeah, spot on. This is climbing the Everest of Australian racing. So as dominant as Emma Stewart and her life partner and training partner Clayton Tonkin have been in Australia, predominantly Victoria, they haven't travelled a lot. They had a couple of aborted and horror show attempts at the Perth Inter Dominion Series. They basically vowed never to go back to Perth after that. I'm not sure they had the formula right in going across there, but that's their prerogative. And it took them quite a while to work out Menangle, work out when to take the horses up. The fact that you really need to get your horses experience around Menangle before they go into semi-finals or finals of big races. So, but they've worked that out now. We know that Poster Boy won the Chariots. We know they got the trifecta in the New South Wales Derby last year. We know that their horses now pretty much turn up to Menangle and deliver on their best Victorian form. But in several previous conversations I've had with Emma, and I know it's been the same for Darren Williams, there's been no appetite, and I mean none, to go across to the Harness Jewels. But I just wonder whether, that breakthrough win of She's All Rock last year, the fact the series is at Addington, which, nothing against Cambridge, nothing against Ashburton, but Addington's got that ring of class, that ring of authenticity around it and attractiveness. I love Alexandra Park, but in the eyes of Aussies, the track to win a big race at in New Zealand is Addington for all of its New Zealand Cup history. So I think that carries a little bit of extra weight. Whatever it is, the alpha male owners, Justin Baker is the key, majority owner, but a lot of the other owners as well, they've essentially decided that in consultation with Emma, that Alpha Male will be going across to the Jewels. So it fits his schedule well. He's got, in the middle of May, I think it's May 15, is the New South Wales Trotters Derby. And then after that, there's nothing really significant for him that would get in the way of going across for the Jewels. So I think the big track, look, he's raw. It'll be a challenge for him because he's galloped in 3 of his 5 starts. He's still been able to win 3 of 5. He's cost himself those other 2 victories by making mistakes. But he put it all together to win the Need for Speed final last time at Group 1 level. He won that race by 40 metres. He ran open class trotters times. They believe that, he's the first trotter they've had, but I guess they've got nothing to compare him with. But other than working with the paces, they know that he can keep up with, a lot of their nice paces. So that speaks really well for a 3-year-old trotter. It'd be great to see him across because Enhance Your Calm otherwise looks to have that 3-year-old trotters division almost a mortgage on it. How would I line them up? I think on raw ability, Alpha Male would have Enhance Your Calm covered. But there's a lot of other factors to go into it. The travel, the occasion, the lack of experience, things like that. So, but he'd certainly be a worthy competitor. And to be able to get Emma Stewart across there, which means you get Chris Elford across there. There's still no bigger name in driving in this part of the world than Chris Elford. And, you mentioned just then that Emma's saying if Alpha Male comes, which looks extremely likely, she would look at a couple of 2-year-olds as well. I know Darren Williams spoke to her as late as yesterday, and they just discussed their latest with Alpha Male, but also Be Happy Mac, who is unbeaten in 2 starts, and at this stage, Emma says is the best 2-year-old they've had go to the races. He could be a contender. And she also mentioned to Darren that there's another 2 or 3 juveniles that are about to be unleashed at the races for the first time that they have tremendous opinions of. So, and we've got to respect that, because over the last 3 or 4 seasons, they haven't just had the best 2-year-old in Victoria. They've often had the best 2 or 3 2-year-olds. So we need to watch those ones that are about to merge. Unfortunately, we didn't get any names, so we'll be just watching with interest when Emma's having first starters step out. But I think this is immensely exciting, and I think it's the biggest step forward that we've seen for Aussie competition in the Jewels since the first of the Aussie horses went over there.
Oh, it's extremely exciting, and as you say, once they get that first taste, then potentially it could lead to long-term travel in terms of the Jewels. And of course, Anton Galeno and Yabby Dams, they were here last year with Dance Craze. She was extremely unlucky, but potentially they could be coming back.
Yeah, still licking my wounds after that. I knew through talking to them and watching them just how much ability Dance Craze had, and yeah, she just got into a sticky spot at a bad time and got clear too late, and even with that explosive speed of hers, she was giving the leaders too big a start. I think the most important thing that's happened from their point of view, and another really important thing that's happened for all Aussie owners and trainers that look at the Jewels, is that Dance Craze, who isn't the soundest mare and hasn't been the easiest mare to train, they took the risk. They took her to New Zealand. They took her over there. She competed, and she came back a considerably more professional and better mare for it. And there's no doubt that trip to New Zealand, and Anton Galeno concedes this, that trip to New Zealand helped her develop and helped her win our biggest trotting race with that barnstorming win in the Group 1 Great Southern Star when Mark Curtin took the drive. So I think a lot of people have been buoyed by that. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be concerned about how well your horse will handle a trip and come home afterwards. So obviously, Anton, they don't have a Dance Craze at this stage of similar ability, but they do have a Maud de Frere, a 4-year-old trotting mare who, she's got a lot of ability. She's very, very fast. I know Anton thinks that she, for sheer speed, is as fast as Dance Craze, and she put it all together to win on that big Need for Speed final night. She has got really good gate speed, so the shorter trips, drawing nicely, would absolutely suit her. Anton said, look, she's an automatic to go across if I've got her right at the time. I think a little bit like Dance Craze, she's not the easiest mare to train, Maud de Frere, and we're probably going to know in the next few weeks just how happy Anton is. But when I last spoke to him, he said if she's right, she'll go across because she's good enough to be very competitive.
And hearing through Major Occasion, Adam, who is probably one of Australia's most improved mares, she finished second to Dream About Me in the Ladyship. There's some talk around the fact that she may even be coming over.
Yeah, they're very keen. So this is the Our Uncle Sam team, Anthony and Chris Frisbee, who sold to the Earth people from, that rich harness racing background area of Bathurst, which, has produced the generations of great horse people and great horses. Tony Turnbull and Hondo Grattan, Steve Turnbull and Smooth Satin, so many other nice horses. And the Frisbees are actually related in blood to the Turnbull clan. Probably most people in Bathurst are. But this mare's been a real investment from the Frisbees. She was a nice filly. She was a fast filly, but a little bit on the weak side. She came down and had a campaign down in Melbourne while our Uncle Sam competed in the Inter-Dominion, and she got better with every run. She ended up winning really easily in a support race on Inter-Dominion final night. And I think people felt that she was on the rise, but it was enough for them to set her for that Ladyship series. She won one of the lead-up races, and then she really showed her class. We know that Dream About Me, how good she is when she's on song. and she was right back to her very best in that ladyship. A great way for the curtain to come down on her career. I don't think, many mares full stop in history would have beaten Dream About Me that night, and Major Occasion did plenty of work and still ran a terrific second. So given she's a 4-year-old mare, the Jewels was very attractive. There's not a lot of suitable races at home for her. And again, I think it's just a matter of her being, the team, Frisbee, being happy with her at the time to accept what I would expect should be a formality invite for her. We've got some other nice 4-year-old mares, but Major Occasion, you don't get better credentials than second to Dream About Me in a ladyship. So she's got really good gate speed as well. She's a front of the field mare. She'll make the race competitive. So there's a lot of ticks for her making the trip across to the Jewels as well.
You mentioned, we talked about Bathurst earlier in terms of Lochinvar Art. Another super impressive performer there was Jillaby Nitro. Are we any chance at getting that horse across, Adam?
Yeah, I'm trying. I know Darren Williams is trying as well. He's the best 2-year-old we've seen in Australia so far this season, and we have seen some nice ones, including Be Happy Mac, who won at Melbourne and made it 2 out of 2 on Saturday night. But Jillaby Nitro did it everywhere. Burned at the start, went a 1:53.8 mile rate to 17:30 metres, was softened up in the middle stages by Mystery Road, a horse that the Connections had expressed interest in taking to the Jewels, but he tried to out-tough Jillaby Nitro and paid the price for that. He dropped out and ran near the tail of the field, Mystery Road. But Jillaby Nitro, despite burning early, despite being softened in the middle, still powered to the line to win really, really impressively. And spoke to Jason Lee afterwards. He defers the decision to his mum, trainer Marg Lee, and then there's a group of family members who tend to own most of the Jillaby and also the Kiyang horses. I think they're going to chat amongst themselves. I know that Darren's reached out. We know the disappointment and how serious they were about coming with the Chariots of Fire winner, Jillaby Kung Fu, last year. A lot of people were sceptical about that, but I think time has shown that they intended to go, but he virtually hasn't raced since because he's been sidelined with injuries, and he's still out spelling now, Jillaby Kung Fu. So I'd say it's pretty unlikely because they have got the Australian Gold, the Vic Bred Series, and also the Breeders' Crown still to come with Jillaby Nitro. But you can only ask the question, and I know, as usual, the All-Stars have produced some really exciting juveniles over your way, Jess, but I think, and I wouldn't say this very often, at this stage, I think Jillaby Nitro would hold its own with even the All-Stars youngsters on what I saw at Bathurst on Friday night.
Wow, well, that is a phenomenal statement to make. And, of course, as you say, if you don't ask, you don't get. So let's hope for a miracle and that we get Jillaby Nitro across for the IRT Harness Jewels. And it sounds as though between you and Darren, of course, there's a lot of groundwork going on, Adam. These invites don't just magic up out of thin air. There's a lot of networking and working on these trainers and owners to get the horses here. But understand overall, the vibe and the interest seems to be up on previous years. Would you agree with that?
No question. And Darren was just saying the other day, I haven't got the final number, but and there's probably still expressions of interest coming in now, but I think he was somewhere around the 25 mark with connections of horses that have actually reached out to him in some way, shape or form to say, hey, we're expressing our interest. So it creates a good problem for him. And it certainly means that he's got to massage the relationships, because in a lot of categories there might be 2, 3, 4 horses that have expressed interest in just the one Aussie invite that we know is available. So, but I think people are realistic. You said before, if you don't ask, you don't get. Well, I'm applauding the progressiveness of a lot of these owners and trainers, and some of them are campaigning quite strongly, like sending replay links over to their horses and detailed emails, almost making their pitch to get the Aussie spot. So I know one horse that that we haven't mentioned on the run through, but it's got to be right in the mix for the 2-year-old pacing filly spot, is one that's got a New Zealand connection, but important that we separate because Aaron Goadsby's training it now, obviously in partnership with Mark Jones, but Lulu Le Mans, who was good but was beaten in a feature race at its most recent start at Menangle, you know, they're pushing really strongly, and she absolutely has to be considered. But you need to weigh up. I mean, Emma Stewart might produce a 2-year-old filly in the next 2 weeks that looks like a world beater. So there's that juggling act from Darren over wanting to respect those who express their interest early, wanting to get, you know, ensure that as many Aussies come across to add depth of quality to the finals as possible, but also not going too early with the invites, because particularly with the 2-year-olds, and this is even more so in Australia because the Australian gold's everything, the 2-year-olds tend to, you know, they tend to appear a little bit deeper into the season. And, you know, Emma's a great example of that, saying herself that she's about to produce 2 or 3 of their best juveniles over the next few weeks. So Lulu Lamond's are right there, but if I was Darren, and he may think otherwise, I would be probably waiting until the end of April or nearer the end of April before I was issuing the 2-year-old invites, just to make sure any of those late emerging 2-year-olds for races like the Australian Gold are absolutely considered in the mix.
Yeah, it's a massive undertaking, and as I say, a heck of a lot of work going into it, both on your side of the ditch with you and, of course, Darren here networking with these people. Adam, thank you so very much for your time. Of course, officially, we still haven't had an Australian horse trained by an Australian trainer win the Jewel, so we can still, you know, dangle that carrot in front of your trainers to take up that spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you got to challenge their egos, don't you? And push them to do so. You know, we can legitimately claim She's All Rock as an Aussie last year, but obviously was trained by the All Stars when it got to the dual stage. So yeah, the door's still open to create a piece of history, and there's a lot of you know, competitive, strong, healthy, ego-driven Aussie trainers, both female and male, who want to do this. You know, I was just talking to Andy Gaff the other day, and he said, "Gee, I wish I had another one to take to the Jewels." And you know, there's so many that have been there that have come back with, you know, with a lot of great memories as well. It's a terrific carnival. It's one that you should be proud of, and it's remarkable to think in just a few years how firmly it's established itself in the minds and the calendars of Aussie trainers. It's almost as though it's been around as long as the New Zealand Cup. That's the sort of presence and respect it holds now in their minds. So I can't wait to get back there. Yeah, I know emotions are a little bit torn with Addington getting a crack at it, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes, and I look forward to seeing you and all the hard-working crew over there, Jess, for another Magical Jewels.
Well, joining me on the Harness Half Hour today is Keryn McElroy from Addington Raceway. And Keryn, you've got the huge task of putting together Harness Jewels 2019. Of course, big thanks to IRT for sponsoring. Just what kind of work is going into this at the moment? I think you appear to be very busy.
Thanks, Jess. Hi, everybody. We are really busy. Addington's got an amazing team on board. I'm just one person. But yes, definitely, we are delighted to be given the opportunity to host the IRT Harness Jewels for the first time. We're very much looking forward to hosting it. We are working long hours on it, where it's a day of amazing racing, fabulous cuisine and refreshments, and it's really a day to celebrate within our industry. So we're putting a lot of hard hours and effort into it. But firstly, what I would love to say is thank you to our overall naming rights sponsor, IRT. The support that they have given us to this event is absolutely phenomenal. So please do think of them when you're needing transport for your horses, as their team definitely go the extra mile.
And while we're talking about sponsors, there are a few big sponsors that are really getting behind IRT Harness Jewels. Absolutely. They really see it as one of the premier events of harness racing. So a big thank you to Macmillan Equine Feeds, Commodore Hotel, Woodland Stud, Hanley Formula and Blue Star Taxis. These sponsors are extremely dedicated, as I say, and please think of them with their products and services. And naturally, the last couple of sponsors will be finalised and announced in due course. Yeah, I'm sure you have no trouble finding them for sure. And in terms of this being a new event for Christchurch in the mid-year, IRT Harness Jewels, it's got a real buzz about it this year.
It has. Talking to people, they are just loving the new event coming to Christchurch. What is it all about? And what we're saying to people outside the industry, the best way to describe it is it's the Oscars of harness racing, which it truly is. It's the season's best of the best horses, drivers, trainers, breeders and owners, where they compete by invitation only. So when you mention the Oscars, they are really understanding what we're saying and really wish to come. They're excited. Yeah.
Oh, that is great to hear. And we'll talk about the hospitality options very soon, Keryn, but some big news in terms of general admissions tickets today.
Yes, today we'd love to announce that general admission entry will be by gold coin donation. This is to assist with raising money for our chosen charity, St John. We wish to acknowledge their incredible job they did on the 15th of March. Further in April, we will be also auctioning off for St John a table of 10 from our premium package Silks and Satin Lounge on Trade Me. This also includes Lanston Champagne. The current value is $2,950. As I say, we're auctioning that off on Trade Me, and everything we get will go to St John's to say thank you for that day they did.
That is absolutely fantastic. And of course, St John doing a massive job for racing in general. They're there every race day. They do a lot for the industry.
Oh, without a doubt. No one can race without St John's, and that's why we see them as a key supporter of our game, and we wish to give back not only for the 15th of March, but due to all what they do throughout each season for us.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. Stay tuned for that auction in due course. Now, owners, we know that you're wanting to support owners on Harness Jewels Day, and there's going to be a special area for them.
Yes, there is, Jess. On the day, it's going to be called the Sapphire Lounge. You'll notice when people are coming in, there's going to be different names for our lounges, actually. So just to reinforce the theme of the jewels, but they'll be located on the level 1 of our Metropolitan stand. It has excellent access to our seating bowl, as you know, to go out and see all the live action, and definitely going down to the IRT stables to wish their horses good luck and their trainers and drivers. This area is all about racing on the day with large screens, naturally TAB facilities, and an array of delicious food and beverage available from our chefs.
Fantastic. And of course there will be communication as we get closer to the IRT Harness Jewels around those owners' privileges. And we'll talk about the festivities. Starting off Thursday night, we're having a welcome dinner.
Yes, starts at 6 o'clock. It's the welcome pre-function dinner. Everyone's welcome. This evening is hosted by Greg O'Connor and Michael Keryn, with commentators Tony Lee, Mark McNamara and Aaron White, and they're going through and highlighting the special race series. It will be actually really interesting to hear what they have to say, something a bit different, and also naturally wishing to give out the colours to the IRT Harness Jewels, presenting to the leading set of connections to each category. So along with that, a 3-course dinner for $70 per person, or a table for $6.50. We'd love to see you there.
Fantastic, and of course we'll have plenty of Australian interest there on the night too, so it'll be a great opportunity for harness racing fans in general to be a part of that. And also in association with IRT, there's going to be a bit of golf involved this year. Yes, Friday is fantastic. Greg O'Connor is organising this. He's doing a great job. It's selling extremely well. The start day time for that is 11:30, with a bit of a barbecue before that. Naturally, post-game there will be prizes. So if anyone's wanting further information or to book, Greg O'Connor is and his email address, greg.o'connor@tab.co.nz. Cool, always popular those golf days. Be a part of it, thanks to IRT. And let's talk hospitality on the IRT Harness Jewels Day on Saturday 1st of June. Various offerings and pretty much something for everyone, Keryn. Yes, there is. We're wanting to try and cater for everyone's needs. First up is Spectators Punters Lounge. This is a great place, racing enthusiasts, and a nice relaxed environment just to mix and mingle. So there'll be continuous grazing stations and delicious treats coming from the kitchen, from our chefs, a cash bar for you, and naturally all options that we've got available will have coffee, TAB facilities, race box, you name it, that's standard. But that's a value of $125 per person for that option. Fantastic. So that's the Spectators Punters Lounge, and you've got the Ruby Lounge on offer.
Yes, Ruby Lounge. This is on the top floor, level 3 of the Metropolitan stand. As everyone knows, great panoramic views of the track and the lounge setting. Very casual environment, great place for family and friends, and to mix and mingle as well. You get a drink on arrival. Again, lovely grazing stations, antipasto platters, seafood, fresh salads, cash bar, and that's $195 per person.
Okay, so the Ruby Lounge is top 3, the third level of Metropolitan stand. And the Silks and Satin Lounge, this is the premium area on the day.
Yes, it is. Outside, of course, our sponsors area, that's the creme de la creme area, should you say. And the sponsors area, along with Silks and Satin Lounge, has Lance and champagne included for the entire day, which is fabulous. So this area will be on level 2. It's our largest lounge. Great views of the Winning Post, and undoubtedly one of the most sought after, and it is selling fast. So if you do wishing to have gorgeous food from the kitchen, Lance and champagne all day, all beverages included, live entertainment for $295, I do recommend you get in quick to book.
Oh, definitely. That's the place you want to be, $295 per person, but all those beautiful beverages and food available and the views alone, and what is going to be a very special day. So for hospitality bookings, who do they contact, Keryn?
The best person is Joanne McMaster, 03 339 7908, or her email address, joanne.mcmaster@addington.co.nz. An easy way also to think about it is our website, addington.co.nz. You can go there for further information, booking forms, everything is there. We are looking forward to everyone coming and having a lovely day and actually hosting a really exciting event for Christchurch, because I think that's what everyone needs as well.
You're not wrong at all. Congratulations on the amazing offering you're putting forward, and you and the Addington team, Keryn. IRT Harness Jewels Day, it's going to be something pretty special and unique this year, so keep up the great work, and we'll continue to keep in touch with you and your team.
Oh, thanks, Jess, absolutely. And definitely we wish to say that we've got fabulous entertainment organised to celebrate such a momentous occasion, and that's what the day is all about, celebration for our industry.
Hi, Razor here from Canterbury Rugby. When you need airport parking, choose a team that's on the ball. Meet at Airpark Canterbury and get their free Mercedes shuttle to drop you right off at the terminal. Airpark Canterbury have the cheapest 24/7 airport parking, and you'll never get left on the sidelines. Give Airpark Canterbury a try, airparkcanterbury.co.nz.
There's always a park for me at Airpark Canterbury.
Well, of course, our weekly feature here on the Harness Half Hour is our bookmaker update with Richard Wilson. And Richard, another busy week. And of course, we had harness racing at Manawatu last Wednesday to kick things off.
Yes, indeed. An early start there on the Wednesday. Fairly quiet too. Not too many big bets to report. A couple of big ones did come in though. $3,300 to win at $4, and a $10,000 top 3 bet at $1.42 on the Capri Express. He ran a place, so a $900 profit there, but he got third, so a couple more places up, and it would have been a good click there. $1,000 to win on My Patronus at $3. Also got the chocolates, and a couple of that missed. $3,000 on Art Courage at $2.05, $2,000 on Rick Riley at $2.60.
Okay, and of course we saw Forbury returning to action in Dunedin. That was on Thursday night, and a couple of good collects there.
Yeah, in the trot races, Jess, they got us in the trots. $500 on Mr. Fahrenheit at $6.50. There was plenty of other action on him too. I think he closed about $4.80 there, so a lot of money for Mr. Fahrenheit. And there was a $1,000 bet on Ace Commander at $7 later on as well. So the trot races looking good for the punters. Maharaja was very heavily backed in race 2. $7,600 on at $2.30. Then there was $2,000 bet and three $1,000 bets at the $1.95. So he was a bit of a flop there. Big bets in race 5, $2,850 on the Golden Boy at $3.80, and there's also $3,000 on Tri Royale Brigade at $5.20. So that one was quite a good one for us. And in the last, there was $2,000 and $1,000 bets on the Dorman at $3.
Of course, feature harness racing at Addington on Friday night, and well, when you get those classy types of animals competing, there are going to be some big bets put on.
Yes, exactly. There was some short price favourites there, and the punters got involved. $10,000 and an $8,000 bet on Better Than Fast at $1.55. There was a $10,000 bet and two $2,000 bets in Hachi Calm at $1.30. A $10,000 and a $15,000 bet on Grand Chico at $1.32. $3,300 on Sunday Sun at $4.60, and another $2,000 at $3.90. $2,000 and three $1,000 bets on Amazing Dream at $1.55. So things are looking pretty dire. Thankfully, there were a few big bets to miss the mark. $1,000 on Tricky Rick at $4.50. There was a $13,000 bet on Anytime to run the top 3 at $1.75. Pro Surfer retracted $2,300 to win at $6 and an $8,000 place bet at $2.30. There was $1,000 on Michelle at $5, $2,000 on Double Rocket at $4.50, and another $2,000 at $4.20. There was $2,500 and a $2,000 bet Supreme Dominator at $2.50. So not all the favourites won, but enough for the punters to be in front there.
Enough to make you nervous too, some of those numbers you're throwing out. And of course, Friday night, Manawatu, that was Palmerston North Gold Cup Festival night, and the Capita Express attracted some big bets.
Yeah, the punter backed up a $2,000 win bet at $6 and $7,000 to run on the top 3 at $2.20. So a $7,400 profit there with the second placing. Just glad he didn't win, really. Brooks Image heavily back to win race 4, Jess. $1,000 bets at both $4.20 and $4 were the biggest ones. But she opened at $6, and there was plenty of action coming in from that 6 into the 4. She would have been a terrible result there. And again, there were a few misses. $4,000 on Alta Leone at $2.30, $1,500 on Franco Hampton at $3.30. Shot in the dark, there was a $1,200 bet at $2.80, and then another $2,000 bet at $2.60.
And of course, Saturday we saw Invercargill Southern Harness taking centre stage, and they always tend to follow Please Shut Up, and it looks as though they've done it again.
They have, yeah, and he got the job done this time. $2,000, $1,800 and $1,000, all at the $4, and then there was another $1,000 at $3.30, so a big mover there. And he got home, and then the stablemate Triple VC, $1,800 and $1,500 bets on Triple VC also got home there. There was a $2,000 bet on the Dorman at $4.20, so he was a bit of a flop at Forbury on the Thursday night, but he got home on Saturday. And we were very thankful. There was an early $1,850 bet on Raffy Roo to run the top 3 at $2.60. Just happy that wasn't to win. He was about $8 to win there. A few misses that helped us out. $3,000 and $3,100 bet on the White Rabbit to run the top 3 at $2.30. $2.5 on Diego top 3 at $2.30. $2,000 on Spurred by Success at $4.60. There was $1,000 on Ansett Flight at $3.90 and $1,500 on This Excuse Better Be It at $3.70.
And of course the grass at Methven on Sunday. We've spoken before, Richard, about how popular and actually how successful the punters can be at these grass track meetings.
It seems to swing one way or the other, Jess. Either the punters really clean up or we get the chocolates. So unfortunately for us, it was one of the earlier ones this week. Great end to the week there for the punters. Not much between $5,300 bet on the Bushman at $2.80 and a $5,000 bet on Magical Melissa at $2.50 for the best bet of the day. The great results there. Right behind them as well, $3,000 on Johnny White to run the top 3 at $3.20. There was $1,500 on BK Dawn at $5.50. $2,000 on Midnight Assassin at $3.90. $2,500 on Unico Enchantress at $3. So all those cleaning up. Not many big bets that missed, actually, tell the truth. The biggest one, $2,222 on Baltimore Jack to win at $10. There was $2,000 to the Sweetheart, top 3 at $4.20. $2,000 on Franco Riot, top 3 at $2.80. $2,000 on Take After Me, top 3 at $5.25. $1,000 on Johnny White at $13. $1,000 on Tiebreaker at $6.50. And $2,000 bets on the Kike at $4. So we got a little bit back, but the punter's well ahead.
It all adds up, though, at least. And, of course, each week you find a multi for us that stands out above the rest. Who's been successful this time round?
Yeah, there's a pretty good one Friday night, a decent stake too, $2,000 on a 3-leg multi. Enhance Your Calm, $1.30, gave no cause for concern there. Neither did Stablemate Amazing Dream at $1.50, and then they ended up on Henry Hubert at $3.80. So 2,000 turned into 14,820.
Yeah, huge run too by Henry Hubert and the Superstars. And the worst cash out for the week?
Yeah, the worst cash out of the week, Jess, I didn't really understand. I didn't see it happening immediately, but soon after the start I knew it had happened. There was a $1,450 bet on Fun in the Dark at $4.80, Jess. You may remember at Forbury Park, Fun in the Dark broke in the score up. It was well out of position. It was sort of on the third line as the start was affected, so in the few seconds between that gallop and the start, the punter with the $1,450 bet decided to cash out. So we took a $1,305 return, so we lost $145. If he'd stuck with the ship, the return would have been $6,960. So ordinarily, you're well out of position like that. It's a good thing to do is to cash out, but every now and again the horse is good enough to get up. So a tricky one there for the punters. And the good cash out of the week, there was a $50 bet on Magical Melissa at $2.50, and then into Doc Sealster at $3.50 to run the top 3. That was cashed out for $115. With Doc Sealster not running a place here, that was the right decision.
Yeah, good work to those punters too. So make sure you check out the TAB website for all of the information around the cash out option if it's something you're not aware of. And in terms of the week ahead, well, it doesn't really let up because we've got Premier Racing coming up again.
Massive night, Friday night at Addington. Before that, there, Forbury Park on Thursday. Addington, we've got the New Zealand Derby, the Easter Cup, the Trotting Derby, the New Zealand Trotting Champs, and also the Group 2 Welcome Stakes. So it's all happening there on Friday. Auckland race as well, then Invercargill on Saturday, and Rangiora on Sunday.
And what's coming up harness racing wise this week in New Zealand? Thursday night we have Forbury Park, of course, in Dunedin. Friday night it is Premier Harness Racing at Addington with New Zealand Derby night there, and of course Alexandra Park will host their meeting too. Saturday, Invercargill, that'll be the Ladyship Stakes final day at Ascot Park, and on Sunday we have Rangiora in North Canterbury. And that's it for this week's Harness Half Hour. Thanks to Airpark Canterbury and HRNZ Marketing. Once again, thank you to all of our guests and to our new sponsors, Airpark Canterbury. Be sure to check them out for your parking and corporate car needs, www.airparkcanterbury.co.nz. And don't forget, the Harness Half Hour podcast is available on the HRNZ website, HRNZ Facebook page, Punters Lounge on tab.co.nz, on Spotify and also iTunes.